Hello. So I just got out of the sauna, meditation, all that kind of jazz. So I'm ready to do this whole journal thing I'm doing. So Biden has sounds like terminal cancer. So I have a lot of critiques of his presidency, but he was the American president. So we all need to be respectful, pray for him, wish for him, his health. If it is so unfortunate that he dies of this, pray for his soul. There's no reason why we can't be polite about this kind of thing. Um, we are fighting a battle, but you still, especially something like Biden. Well, he was kind of a jerk, to be honest. But we got to be nice to him because he was a former president, and you got to respect people, especially people who are leaders on the other side. And let's be honest, he probably threw the election to conservatives more than a lot of other people. Um, There's a argument that he saw which way the Democratic Party was going, that they'd screwed him, so he decided to kind of say a few things to kind of toss it Trump's way. You gotta, thank you, Biden. Um, he could have been a lot worse. So yeah, let's all be kind to him. There's no need to be uncivilized about this sort of thing. Be nice. There's nothing wrong with being nice. You don't lose anything by being nice. Well, you can. You don't lose anything by being civil. That's a better way of putting it. Being nice, I'll go into next. So anyway, everybody pray for Biden. He was the U.S. president. He's done a lot of things in his life in public service, and we should respect him for that. So yeah, be nice to him. So next topic, evolutionary sociology. So I'm not going to go too deep in this topic, but it is a very interesting topic, and it is interesting, and we're not allowed to talk about it. Basically, the idea, from what I understand, is that societies evolve just as animals do. So an animal is on a island with tall trees, goes a long neck, because not because it immediately, like one animal immediately passes on traits to the next. Just over the generations, the animals that have a longer neck do a bit better, have a few more kids, so on and so forth. Evolution. You don't believe in evolution? Well, I mean, I admire your confidence. But the idea is that societies evolve as well. That if you have two societies and they're both in, like, let's say, Eskimo territory, the society that has traits that are being better for being in a cold landscape are going to outcompete the societies that don't. The what's a good example of a group that went extinct? The Celts were outcompeted by the Germanic peoples in France, in England, in the UK. So some traits are better than other traits. Societies tend to expand if they have traits that work well. They tend to retract if they have traits that don't work well. It follows directly from evolutionary reasoning. What survives, what doesn't, what expands, what doesn't. But the issue is that it seems like some traits for societies are less good by our Western sensibilities, but seem to be spreading. So the good example is the UK. The UK, over the past 1,000 years, developed a tendency towards tolerance and openness and freedom of speech, all those kind of things. And so that's good, right? But then you look at the outcome and you're like, oh, well, that same trait is leading them to basically import infinite numbers of people who do not have those traits, who believe in something different. And it's pretty easy to see what's going to happen over the next, if nothing changes, over the next 30 years. I think they already arrested somebody for blasphemy in England. Yeah, I know, shocking, right? Arresting somebody for blasphemy. So it seems to me that maybe that trait of openness might be suicidal for society. That niceness might not be selected for when societies compete against each other in those open borders. You can allow open borders if they're are societies that are conducive to each other. You can't have open borders with niceness versus what's coming in. Then you have other traits like less good traits, like, I don't know, xenophobia, that might be selected for because those societies are likely going to survive longer because they're not replaced. These traits are here for a reason. You don't have traits that are just evil. Oh, evil trait. No, it probably is useful for something. OCD traits are probably good if you want to be organized. Autism is probably good if you want to have people who can really focus in on something. Schizophrenia, for whatever reason, there seems to be a lot of people with schizophrenic family members who do really, really well in communication fields. I see Brett Cooper and her brother. Her brother's schizophrenic. And she's a really good communicator. There's no such thing as a bad trait. It's just traits we like and traits we don't like, and traits that are adaptive and traits that aren't adaptive. The trouble comes when there's traits we like that are maladaptive, or traits we don't like that are adaptive. And when you have that happen, you have to be very careful about what traits you allow to settle in your region, because you might end up getting traits outlawed that you like, or legal or enforced that you don't like. That's just how things work if people move around. It's not necessarily going to go in the liberal progressive direction. And even though I am conservative on the American scale, I recognize that I have more in common with the average Democrat than I do with somebody who doesn't share. I mean, conservatives and liberals in the Western model have like 90% of things they agree on. That 10%, okay. So, yeah, you gotta be careful. And I think England, it's basically a case study of why some traits might work short term for a few hundred years, but then be essentially suicidal. It's probably why we don't have Western civilization popping up more often in different regions of the world. So yeah, that's a bit of a black pill. I don't think that's an issue for America, because I think America, we're not quite so polite, which is actually to our benefit. All the Europeans are like, "Oh, Americans are so crass and ugly." It's like, yeah, maybe. We also are going to survive through the next 100 years as a culture. You're not. It's a great job. You have a society that doesn't survive. Well done, guys. Going extinct. You shouldn't. It's not. That's not something to brag about. But we'll see. Things change. You don't know where things are going to go. I mean, honestly, if you think you know where things are going to go over the next 20 years, 20 years ago, Trump was on The Apprentice. You have no idea what's going to happen. I don't think it might be a Trump specific thing, but you don't know what's going to happen. You just don't. Anybody who says they know is probably selling something. Hopefully, they're selling something useful, and they might be selling something to scam you, though. You don't know. So, but the Catholic Church. So I'm kind of mixed about what the future of the Catholic Church is going to be. On the one hand, it is obvious that their trend lines are going down. With church attendance, with membership, with young people. The average age of a Catholic in the United States, I think, is like 65, like something way older than you think. Yeah, whatever you think the advantages of the Second Vatican Council are, survivability is not one of them. It didn't work. It didn't work at all. At all. No. It didn't do well. But that said, and so I think right now the Catholic Church is obviously just going down. That said, the Catholic Church has a very, very good history of being in chaotic environments. It survives better in chaos. I think because the juxtaposition of the Catholic Church being somewhat ordered, it doesn't look that good when you have an ordered society where everything's going well and everything's prosperous. When everything goes to shit, you're like, oh, the Catholic Church, this is stable. And this is why I think young men are attracted to it right now. Young men are just going into the church in droves, which is great. Because it's just something ordered amongst the chaos of everything else. So I think it's gonna make it. And also, it is interesting how the church can allow multiple sides to have a conversation. So I went to mass today, and there was we have a black priest in Ghana who's great, and we have a deacon, a white deacon, um, from around here, and they obviously did not have the same politics. Yeah, the deacon gave the sermon today, and he gave a few comments about like, oh yeah, like how dare we get illegal immigrants or whatever, and meanwhile, then that was so that it was mostly a good homily. Like, I'm kind of doing him a disservice by just mentioning that one part. But it was a little bit woke, especially at the end, because like if you're here illegally and you're a criminal, yeah, no, thank you. We're not obligated to welcome you into our home. Sorry, especially if you're gonna be a criminal. If you're illegal and you're just kind of like gardening or whatever, fine, I don't care. But if you're a criminal and you're here illegally, yeah, you got to go. That said, and then the priest said, "Oh, I'm going to give a second homily." So there's a baptism. So he gave a whole talk. He gave like a 5-minute talk about what being baptized meant. So it's kind of more of a conservative, like this is what the church gives you. You're part of the church. You get Jesus. You get faith. That kind of thing. And then during the penitence offerings, when we pray for everybody, when we mentioned leaders, he said, "Our leaders, especially Trump," and I'm like, they do not get along. But that's the thing that's beautiful about the Catholic Church is that multiple sides can talk to each other and be in the same service, basically, and be forced together because neither of them are going to go become Protestant. Like Protestants, if this kind of thing happened, one is just going to split off and one's going to dominate the other. Catholic Church has been remarkably good at not diving too far into either side. Impressively. So better than any other organization I can think of. And it's been over 2,000 years. I think there's a saying that I think Napoleon said, "Oh, if I wished to, I could destroy your church." And so the priest he was talking to said, "Sir, we've been trying to destroy this church for 1,800 years, and we haven't managed it. I very much doubt you're going to manage it." It's just such a backhanded compliment to yourself, just saying, "Hey, we tried to destroy it, we couldn't." And it's funny because like apparently one of the Protestant churches are going woke. That's from what I've heard. That's what I've heard. Not the one I go to Bible. The guys I go to Bible study with go to, but a lot of them are. And it's like the Catholic Church is like, we've been teetering on the edge, but not quite. And with this Pope Leo guy, it's like we're not going to go over the edge over the next 20 years. I don't think. He seems pretty solid. What's funny is, and I mentioned this in a core answer, is that people are making predictions about the new Pope. All I can tell you is that he's close with his brother. His brother's a Trump supporter. He was close to Pope Francis. Pope Francis was not. And the fact that he was able to be kind of good, really, really close with both people, kind of indicates that he is very good at not saying too much and kind of staying on a rational, reasoned basis for things. He was a math major. Math people are weird. Math people are able to not go beyond the reasoning. Because if you do that, you're not going to get to the proof. It's just not going to happen. If I ever have kids, I'm going to encourage them to be math majors if they're smart enough. It's just the way you think as a math major is just so reasoned. It's pure reason. Everything else is bullshit. Math is real. The only other thing, so one more thing I wanted to mention. I went to the GSO concert tonight. So they have a concert every December-ish and every May. And it is so nice just to hear music. And it is good. Like, the video game nerd scene has really been carrying Western art for the past, 40, 30 years. I mean, it is good stuff. And these are kids. These are college kids who aren't majoring in music for the most part. These are just amateurs. And it sounds so good. You don't need to be that good to make music. And it just sounds so amazing. It just takes you away from all this other stuff. And you're just kind of like in the realm of music for a while. It's just so beautiful. And you notice nobody's making a sound. Like I went to the Hans Zimmer concert a few months ago with Melissa. And we went there and like people were walking around, they were eating, they were walking around 10 minutes into the performance. Hans Zimmer actually yelled at us for coming into, actually yelled at a group of people for coming into, like, he was pissed. But that's how disrespectful people were. and it was like $150 ticket. It was expensive, man. But then I go to the GSO concert. It's free. Everybody is silent. You could hear a pin drop. It was just so good. Because nerds, we know how to behave. We civilized. Anyway, that's all I got. But definitely, I definitely would recommend the concert. If the next one I think comes by in either December or January, depending when they end up scheduling it next time. Definitely recommend going if you're in the Maryland, DC area. It's free. I mean, I bought some stuff just to kind of support them, but it's free. It's great. Anyway, cheers.